Why would anyone study ancient Egypt or Hamit? Because it is our last, most influential and enduring civilization in human history. But there are two huge barriers that we must jump over. The first one are our African governments, and the second one are the Egyptologists, because they all fudge around and they all hide a lot of information. Yet ancient Egypt, ancient Hamit, supply us with the information and knowledge and wisdom on how to live, how to die, how to prepare to die, and how to prepare the journey of the afterlife, the magical arts, the sciences, how we should be governed and ruled. If we do not have this basis and this basic knowledge, then the governments and all others who override our own free will. Our African governments are a failure. They do not support academic institutions, universities or colleges, museums, African museums, government agencies, other non-governmental organizations and foundations, or private sector and other consulting people, or any publications and lectures in sustaining and teaching about information on ancient Hamit or Egypt. Subscribe to our channel because it is one of the sources where you can learn and have an interaction with your own heritage and identity. You always receive inspiring original narratives, historical insights, and personal empowering spiritual content. Do not forget to like, to share with your community many of our videos. Drop your thoughts via the comments. Together, we can rebuild our stronger and enduring civilization again. And as a united people, melanin-dominant human beings, we can be part of that movement today. Eurasian governments and their special interest groups and organizations create the second huge problem because they create Egyptologists. We shall look at this shortly. Their special interest groups include the International Association of Egyptologists, American Research Center in Egypt, Egypt Exploration Society, the Oriental Institute of University of Chicago, German Archaeological Institute, Institut Francais d'Archéologie Orientale, the Griffith Institute, University of Oxford. Yet Africa has nothing of such organizations. Hence, you find these people from Turkey, like Zawi Hawasi, saying Egypt is not related to Africa, as if he doesn't know his geography very well, that Egypt is in Africa. What is an Egyptologist? According to them, an Egyptologist is a scholar or a scientist who specializes in the study of ancient Egypt. Hamit, for us. We ask the question, is Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Obenga Egyptologists? Here's what they say. Diop and Obenga have significantly influenced the study of ancient Egypt and African history. They are not typically classified as Egyptologists in the academic sense. Why? They go on to say, Egyptology as an academic discipline typically refers to scholars trained in archaeology, philology, history, and art history, specifically focused, now follow us clearly, on ancient Egypt within the framework of Western academic institutions. Here's the question. If the evidence you encounter on the ground debunks your archaeological, philological, historical, and art history framework of Western academic institutions, donors or funders, what will you do? What will they do, the Egyptologists? They will definitely reinterpret it to suit a Eurocentric and pale Arab orientation, paradigm, and philosophy. But suppose that evidence resists and refuses, they will destroy that evidence. This is what we want to look at before Egyptologists destroy all the evidence. Today, if any African you hear, any melanin-dominant human being you hear, whether a black Christian, whether a Muslim, black Muslim, a Hebrew Israelite, an African atheist, black atheist, ambivalent African, or African government or institution or university or school says that ancient Egyptians were not black, they are victims of Egyptologists. So, Hebrew Israelites are victims of Egyptologists because their version of history is tainted and painted by Egyptology, because they do not subscribe to the worship of our deities, our original deities. They worship the God of Israel, who they say destroyed our divinities, not knowing that their God was created out of thin air, out of the Canaanite stuff, because they also borrowed and plagiarized our laws as the Ten Commandments and the Torah. It is very important to understand that Egyptologists destroy the evidence that they find is out of their paradigm. You can see they do not condemn people like Fatima Had at work placing Caucasian looking forgeries at archaeological sites. You have to download this video for future generations and keep it and understand it, because we are proving that the Europeans and the Arabs are vigorously altering the murals of Africa's ancient Egypt to fit their narratives. It's an Orwellian propaganda move. Here is Marty before alteration. Chocolate, brown, black here. And they are doing a lot to destroy and to change, altering that. We are still here, as proved by our own culture in African history, archaeology, the kings, the pharaohs, the tribes, the hieroglyphics, the rivers, the pyramids. Egyptologists cannot remove these. But they do not condemn the facts, because they want the facts to sustain their thinking. You can see clearly here are tribal African lines here, horizontal lines, on the Sphinx, 7,000 years, 9,000 years BCE. There again in Africa. Straightforward. This is not imaginary. It is important for us to understand that the original Africans looked as other Africans today from all the range of colors. Not only one color. Egyptologists will reinterpret everything to suit their European and colonial bias. Here you can see in this pyramid painting, Pharaoh Amos I, a black African Egyptian of the 18th dynasty who defeated white-looking mixed people as well as the Hyksos. Why would the ancient Egyptians paint Amos chocolate if he wasn't Negroid or a sub-Saharan African? Again, we know in detail the statue representing Pharaoh Amos I. Melanin dominant. This is the wooden one and this is the stone one. It's very, very clear that if the evidence is too much to handle, they become so angry and they shoot the noses off, chop the noses off, grind the statues in powder and throw away the powder. The Egyptologists remain mum and quiet, and they want to hide everything. When they fail to hide it and we see the evidence, before they shoot their noses, before they deface it, they are melanin dominant human beings. Not that the blunt nose is only our evidence, but even the sharp nose is also found among us melanin dominant human beings. That so-called restorations are forgeries supported and promoted by Egyptologists because they are obliterating and destroying the evidence. Take note of these restorations. Never forget these actions. Show this video to as many people as possible. Download it, get the books, hard copies, and keep them, and pictures and images before the computer generated ones come aboard. The restorations continue to distort and to come and stand out when the original evidence is given. When everything else fails, they go into movies. Because before the Egyptologists destroy all the evidence, we need to know that Imhotep, so-called Imhotep, looked like this. And the Imhotep Hollywood one is a fake. Straight forgery, straight without any doubt. It is very important that we know that Egyptologists won't say no to fraudulent art, to fraudulent artists, because it sustains their framework on ancient Egypt within their Western academic institutionalized paradigms, so that Europeans can say they made the civilization in ancient Egypt, which they did not. This is the authentic face mask of King Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun is Tutankhamun according to Europeans, which was found in his tomb by Egyptologists. This is a forensic mock-up of King Tutankhamun created by this artist, the French artist named Elizabeth Dines. This mock-up is displayed in National Geographic and many other academic institutions as well as avenues. it is important for us to say Europeans and pale Arabs are so desperate to have a long, meaningful history that points to them, so that they can have their self-delusion built up and sustained by these images, to build a psychological platform and strength and hope. And they think that by taking these hacks and making these commissions and CGIs and computer-generated images, forensic mock-ups, they can become part and parcel of ancient black civilization. It's impossible. It's not like that. There they are, ancient Egyptian worker preparing plaster over damaged tomb walls, as well as those special interest group staff from the University of Chicago Oriental Institute, busy at work restoring and making images that look like pale Arabs, because pale Arabs and Europeans are one and the same people, different names. Again, Egyptologists continue to restore and to change images. This is an restored statue of Thutmose III as a young man, and now as a Europeanized person as a young man there. Egyptologists hate ancient Africans. Egyptologists hate Hamid. Don't be cheated by the term Egyptologists. Their job is to whitewash, to destroy, and to distort. That's a fact that has never been changed. That's their original goal. It is clear that they hate it because of this image. This is the image of what Champollion showed. After deciphering the hieroglyphics and doing all that, he had his left leg on the head of one of the greatest kings in Africa, Ramesses II. It is what Europeans, this displays exactly what Europeans, what Egyptologists, what pale Arabs think of our civilization and our ancestors. Again, cultural sameness everywhere you find. You see in Akan, see in Hamid, same. You see an ancient Egyptian priest wearing a leopard skin 3,000 years ago, and Nelson Mandela wearing a leopard skin these days, our generation. We study ancient Hamid because it is an African civilization, the highest that we ever achieved, the most enduring one for over 25,000 years non-stop. Just like the Greeks celebrate their Greece civilization, because they think that ancient Greeks civilized Europe. They brought democracy, they brought philosophy, Western literature, Olympic Games, Western historiography, political science, major scientific and mathematical principles, Western drama, including both tragedy and comedy. This legacy is partly reflected in the 17th UNESCO World Heritage Sites located in Greece. Therefore, they think that this is theirs. Egyptologists really want to hide is this origin of their civilization, that they didn't originate nothing. All these Greek philosophers that you have studied, the principles that you have studied and say Greeks found this, Greeks did this, was borrowed from the continent of Africa, which was the first to discover that. Even one of their nobles, Count de Vaune, said, just think of these black men today when they were enslaving us. Our slave today and the object of our scorn is the very race to which Europeans and pale Arabs, Indians and Chinese owe their arts, their sciences, and even the use of speech. Therefore, anyone posting anything disputing that ancient Egyptians are melanin dominant, black, Bantu, brown people, that person is a liar. It doesn't matter whether he has a chain or she has a chain of PhDs, thousands of archaeological digs, linguistics, or one is a liar. Just like Zaire Awas is a liar. Therefore, help us to stop these lies, because we have already stopped them and we shall continue to stop them. If you want to engage, and if you want to help us, and if you want to forward this, send us an email on join@marifado.com. Till we meet again, remember, anyone posting anything disputing that ancient Egyptians were melanin dominant, were Bantus, were Africans, were black people, were Negroes, is a liar. Your manager to people Rabbi LM says, till we meet again, stay sharp, stay well, let's move. Amen.